give you a sense of the scale of that monster. The monster is fairly disgusting, and some flowers. And the character is also sort of theatrical. Some of these faces recur in his art, and sort of the classical philosopher face. But at other times, he himself sort of embodies the Minotaur in his aggressive ways, but also often here the Minotaur is blind and is being led by a child. He would make out of gesso and wood and hair or one element there. Like very early cycladic sculpture, but then it's sort of off-center in this way. And he really calls out the fact that she's headless, which is part of that sort of thinking.
Explain that a little bit more.
So to not have a head is to not have reason, and using the body as a metaphor for all sorts of different ideas.
Would you describe this as somewhat sexist back then?
Sexist? Probably. I mean, Giacometti introduced various things that feminist art history has railed against. Absolutely. And in 1937, there was a great World's Fair in Paris, in the Republican Pavilion. You have this painting by Picasso, this massive painting. It is, and next to it was a painting by Joan Miro called The Reaper. You see the scale of this thing, which was just as impressive. That was destroyed, and so nobody knows about that one. But these people had all come out very publicly and shown their sympathies for the Spanish cause.
Does this painting give us a message about what Masson was about politically?
Masson was a man who had fought in World War I. Mm-hmm. He'd been shot in the chest and left on the battlefield overnight because the stretcher bearers couldn't bring him in. He ended up in a psychiatric ward. He had an obsession with the damage that had happened to him. He was, by today's standards, you'd say he had PTSD, and it took him a long time to sort of recover. But he reacts very strongly to acts of violence because he had experienced them himself in World War I.
Mm-hmm. So then, one looking at this painting, is there a message for us today in the 21st century?
Well, I think certainly you want to avoid a return to fascism.
Well, that's one.
My principal. Europe after the rain Europe has undergone a great disaster and seems like a ruined landscape with these totemic forms and bits of obelisks and so that are in shards. One of the things that this technique allows Ernst to do is to look in and then suddenly he can pull out a little face or anything he sees, a bunch of women here. Here there's actually the bull, and behind the bull is a woman, a nude. So people have read this as sort of the Rape of Europa, classical text from Ovid, I believe, and seen this right-hand side of Europe. We know that this painting was produced, he started it in right before World War II. Then somehow it got to America, and he finished it in 1942, after he'd married Peggy Guggenheim and been out west and gone to Sedona, Arizona, where he saw rock formations like this and claimed that he'd already dreamed them years before. Uh-huh. So some people interpret the left-hand side, the western side, as this American West, and the right-hand side as Europe that has been sort of...
Musician, yes. Hansberg is the musician. Natalie Scherberg is the visual artist. They are very much a collaborative duo. Okay. They have been working in Berlin since 2004. They met in 2004 in Berlin. They're both Swedish. And a lot of times with the music, Hansberg does not need to see or know what Natalie Scherberg is working on because they know each other and their process so well that he already knows the emotion she's going through. Okay. That he can either steer you clear from that emotion because they can be disturbing, or soothe, or other...
Is this for relaxing you or something?
I find it very relaxing. If you sit on the carpet and you look up and you listen to the music, I find a lot of the music of Scherberg and Berg to be, you know, hypnotic, ethereal. Donuts and Eggs are completely separate from the installation, but they've done it once before somewhere else.
Why donuts and eggs?
Why not? No, I think it has a lot to do with birth and creation and what did come first. Like if you watch this film, it's about, as I said, on a 15-minute loop. There's a lot going on. Right now you can see it's just abstract objects, but eventually you're going to see some eggs cracking. Then you'll see what looks like a sunrise, and Natalie Scherberg actually incorporated her clay in the film. So I will tell you, when she created this artwork, she used a black piece of paper, waxy piece of paper, took pastel and drew, erased, but then she also used some clay that she uses throughout her films and incorporated it into this very abstract, two-dimensional film. And I find that the two artists are always exploring recreation or creation or death or rebirth.
So after you give them birth, you want to eat something sweet?
Do I want to eat something? Well, I got my little donuts and eggs right here, so.